The next couple of videos, I'm going to go over the concept of how companies raise equity. And I'll put the same chart that we talked about in the past. When you look at external sources of financing, there's only two external sources of financing that a company can get. So this would be things excluding net income and things that you generate from operations. So debt we talked about in the other set of videos. This time we're going to talk about equity, and we'll look at it and say, try to figure out how do you raise equity. So raising equity if you want to grow your business or you just need money or to fund your operations. Now I'm going to break it down into two different categories. One is, I'll call it a small company, and there's going to be exceptions to this rule, but generally speaking, smaller companies, I'll group them together in one category and larger companies in another category. And if you look at small companies first, the one thing you have to consider is that if it's a really small company, like a startup, often they don't even have access to debt. Okay, so if you're just getting going and you want to you raise some money, a bank is likely not going to lend it to you because you don't have any credit history or you don't have any ability to demonstrate to them that you're going to be able to repay it and provide collateral. So as a result, equity is the main source for small companies, okay, so of external capital. And in this case, I'm assuming the company is private. Okay, so by private, it basically means it's not public. And not public means it's not traded on a stock exchange. So if you're traded on the New York Stock Exchange or the Toronto Stock Exchange, you're a public company. If you're not, you're a private company, and you need to raise equity directly from your shareholders at that point. So there's two ways that you can raise it. The first way is what I'll call angel investors, and the second way is venture capital. Now, angel investors are definitely the better source, or people usually want to raise it from angel investors first. This would be friends and family. Okay, so if you're raising money from friends and family, they naturally want to profit, but they tend to be very forgiving. Okay, so if it's taking a little longer to get going, they'll probably work with you, or they won't get as upset as somebody in a venture capital area. So a venture capital firm is a firm that is going to make an investment. So there's no relationship, so they're not related to the company. So it's a pure profit investment. And the best way to kind of go through this is to look at what's the timeline for a venture capital firm. So if you were to look at a startup company, and you work all the way to doing an IPO, whereas when you're traded at this point, you're a public company. Okay, and this is the timeline of life cycle for a company. So usually when you start out, you'll start out with angel investors. And eventually you'll get large enough that you will need a round of venture capital financing. I'll call this VC round one. So now your friends and family don't have enough money to keep you going for the whole time. As a result, they'll go to a venture capital firm. Then you go to VC round two, and so on. Now you could do it straight through one round and go to an IPO, or you could take 5 rounds. It just depends on the size of the company, how long you wait, and all of those characteristics. But ultimately, this is a stage where the company is growing, and eventually you get to a public company, and this is where your investors they can sell. They may choose to hold on, but they have the opportunity to sell. So venture capitalists will help you get to that scenario. The cons of a venture capital are, first of all, they are very quick to pull the plug. Okay, so basically the first sign of trouble, they can get you to do things like sell the company. You can have a forced merger with one of their other companies, or things like that. And secondly, they usually get a board seat, which could be good, but they sometimes can take a role where they're managing the firm. They're managing key decisions, and you may not like what they're doing. Okay, and ultimately they are generally impatient. Okay, they want to sell and make their profit quickly.